Today's Advent meditation is inspired by Medeleine L'Engle's Walking on Water, Reflections on Faith and Art. It's a collection of essays she presented as lectures at Wheaton, answering the question, what does it mean to be a Christian artist? It's a great little inspirational book, and I can read it over and over again. We are all asked to do more than we can do. Every hero and heroine of the Bible does more than he would have thought it possible to do, from Gideon to Esther to Mary. L'Engle goes on to explain more about two biblical characters, namely Jacob and Nathaniel. But I'm going to apply/test this L'Engle statement on the characters featured in the nativity stories. The compilation of all the asks is mind-blowing in the Christmas narratives. And perhaps you will say faith is asked of each one of them in God's plan. Yes, that's true, but they also have to do concrete actions or inaction as well in order to advance the story that God is writing. Two pregnancies are at the center of the Christmas stories. Elizabeth is a wanted, long prayed for and yearned for, but now at such old age, we're told, and actually pregnant. I was pregnant at 43. The medical term for that nowadays is a geriatric pregnancy. Not easy. How was it for Elizabeth to be old and pregnant? Just the physicality of that. And then the odd circumstances, the mute husband. Was it hard for Elizabeth to speak up and stop the religious leaders gathered at circumcision from naming the baby Zachariah, as they were determined to? We're all asked to do more than we can do. Mary, of course, the youngest protagonist, a very definition of doing more than she would ever think possible. Consent to this pregnancy likely ruining her prospects of marriage. Her soul journey later to meet with Elizabeth shows how much she needed support for the hard thing she was asked to do. And then making sure that this extraordinary baby is fine when delivered far from family in an unfamiliar place. In each case, hard things are required of the fathers too. Zechariah almost couldn't deliver on this until he wrote, "His name is John," giving up all the control during the long 9 months of silence. Was that more than he ever thought he could do? Joseph did not want to marry a woman already pregnant. He wasn't a Karen, so he was fixing not to make a fuss of it, but what Joseph wanted was to be faithful to the law and break the engagement, break the agreement. We are all asked to do more than we can do, and marry her he did. Even naming that child was not his choice, as it would have been, as the father would. And Matthew makes a point to say it twice, the angel's instruction regarding the name, and then the fact that Joseph did that. He named the baby what he was told to name him in a dream 9 months ago. Surely Joseph did not want to get up in the middle of the night and leave Bethlehem as he was told to do. Who wants to be on the run with a baby? He was either going to stay there or go back home. His people were always meant to come out of Egypt and not into it. But he protected his young family the hard way. Even the Magi's journey to Bethlehem, a hard thing, imagined beautifully in T.S. Eliot's poem, A Cold Coming We Had of It, Just the worst time of the year for a journey, and such a long journey, the ways deep and the weather sharp, the very dead of winter, and the lack of shelters, and the cities hostile, and the towns unfriendly, and the villages dirty and charging high prices. A hard time we had of it. And their return, they were asked to disobey the king called the Great, and not go report to him about the baby, but go back a different, presumably less convenient way. Did they feel they were asked in a dream to do more than they could do? What was it like for Simeon to deliver the prophetic word about the child to his parents? A word that wasn't fully positive and sunny. He had to look straight at the happy mother of a young baby on the day of his dedication and say, "And a sword will pierce your own soul too." Hard things are asked of us. And then Herod the Great. Could he have possibly learned that there is another king born and do nothing? Inaction. Not do what he wanted to do. Herod the Great, a sole example in the Nativity story, who declines to do more than he can do. So he slaughters the innocents. Perchance one of them would usurp his throne. The crescendo of his odious opus. He died shortly after. And later on, of course, John the Baptist, Elizabeth's baby, tasked with calling sinners to repentance. So he called out Herod Antipas' evil deeds repeatedly, over and over again to his face, until it killed him. We are all asked to do more than we can do. This Advent, I'm reminded of this basic, really obvious lesson, but I need reminders. God did the unimaginable by sending his Son to save the world, but he called all these people to take up some of the work. Does God need people to advance the story? Theologically, the answer is very clear, but theological points are irrelevant to how the actual story actually unfolded with the birth of Christ. Certain people were called to action or inaction, to do things they could not do. I'm certain that each one of them felt it, this painful imbalance of their weak, feeble, timid, incredulous humanity when faced with the big ask. Living to the fullest and the holiest of your created human capacity means working with God in advancing the story, his will, plan, reign. This is how things get done in God's kingdom here and now, done God's way. He carries the biggest chunk of the impossible work, and we, to whom Christ has been given, we get to step up to God's delight, to our benefit, and towards the end goal of the world's redemption. And every single ask is more than I am naturally inclined to do, more than I would have thought it possible to do. Spend some time this Advent looking at the Nativity characters doing really hard things and be inspired. We are all called to do more than we can do.